Welcome to Outlier On Air. This morning we are in Santa Monica at Cross Campus, which is a happening co-working space. And we have Crystal Rose here, who has been kind enough to meet us and tell us a little bit about her company and her experiences getting to where she is today. She's doing a lot of great things, and I really want to dig in. Welcome, Crystal. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you showing us around.
Absolutely. It's great to have you in LA.
Awesome. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about your company now.
Sure. So my company is called Sensay, and we are an early stage startup. Sensay is the world's first knowledge marketplace.
Okay, so Sensay, like the Japanese term.
Like the Japanese term, but spelled S-E-N-S-A-Y.
Okay, so where does that come from?
So we are, as a knowledge marketplace, we are sharing and transacting knowledge. So It's a play on words. It makes sense, and the format is chat, so you say it.
Okay, so this is a web-based tech solution of some kind.
It's a mobile app.
Oh, okay.
We plan on having the availability on all platforms, but we're starting with mobile. We'll be launching Android and iOS first.
Okay, great. I'd like to dig into that, but first, let's talk about you just a little bit. I'd love to know how you got to where you are. I know you teach coding. You're very active in the LA startup community. I want to hear about all that. Tell me just a little bit about your background and the progression of your companies.
Sure. So I started coding when I was a teenager. I've always been fascinated by computers. I've had them around my whole life, so I was really fortunate in that.
What did you start with?
I started with HTML.
Okay.
So it's
Who taught you? Was it self-taught?
Self-taught.
Okay.
Self-taught. And that was really because I was a designer at heart, and I wanted to put my designs to life. So I realized the way to do that was by coding. So I learned some front-end code, and I started my very first business when I was 16. I did websites that I sold on eBay. So
really?
I leveraged the eBay marketplace, and I was able to sell turnkey businesses that way that I created.
So you would build the email template, and then you would just sell it as is?
I would sell an entire business. So I'd find a drop shipper, and I'd put together a website around that and create a business, a logo, a design, and sell the whole package. I don't think that's something that you can sell today. That was maybe 99, 2000.
So that's pretty innovative. That's cool.
That was the first thing, and that was the first thing that taught me that I could sell my services. So very quickly, I turned that into a consultancy.
Cool.
And started college really young. I was 16.
Wow.
So at that point, I was an entrepreneur and
a smarty pants. So, all right. So you sold these websites on eBay. What was the next progression?
So the next step was partnering up with someone and creating a small boutique agency. So I ran that through my early 20s, and that company allowed me to both discover things that were really innovative in technology, things that were starting out new, the first steps into mobile and social media as a new type of service, and then I moved into starting my first startup.
So was this totally a remote business, or did you have some kind of location or office people come into? How'd you work that?
It was remote for a long time, and then I did have office space. I was in Studio City here in LA, and I had a lot of contract and remote people that worked with me. Okay. So managing the business was really internet-based, and I think that always helped me to understand that you can get more done when you take down the barriers of location.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
I think it's important to know that talent is everywhere. So
So when you say the barriers of location, you mean your options are so much more open when you're working virtually because you can choose to work with anyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. So were you in college at that time, or?
I was for a bit, and I actually went to 3 different colleges. I changed my focus. I wanted to have a focus in design and then a focus in business, and what I realized was my business was already happening. So at that point,
you're already doing
I
it.
left college and went full-time into my business.
Okay, so what was the progression to your startup now? You've had a few, so take me through that a little bit.
Sure. So while I was working for clients, what I learned was that social media was becoming something that was really a new way for them to talk to their customers. Less and less focus on broadcast mediums and more emphasis on a two-sided conversation. They knew that they could address their customers directly through those channels. So my first company was called Hype. It was social media as a service. And the idea was we would take small brick and mortar businesses who didn't have a social presence and needed a way to connect to local consumers. So through a process of both automation and human intervention, I guess, we allowed people to connect directly to those businesses.
So you actually did a do-it-for-you social media service?
Yeah, something like that.
How did that work out?
Well, it was a subscription service, and it did pretty well. I bootstrapped it, so the money that I had earned from my previous company, I put directly into this. And at the time, it was a little bit early. I didn't seek out funding, and when I did have a competitor, they did go the funding route. So it was something that became a learning experience. There was a lot to learn from that. I ended up just closing and sunsetting the business at a certain point in time. It was one direction or the other, and I had a really attractive offer from an advertising agency. So I decided to get back into more the brand side and doing things as a service.
Okay, what was your number one challenge in that business providing social media services for people? I mean, social media changes so quickly, and just from my experience, I mean, it can be a really high maintenance service to offer because you have to be really connected with that company and what they're doing every day. And what did you feel was the main challenge there?
Absolutely. I think the main challenge is expectations for ROI. So when you are working on a channel that doesn't have direct ROI associated with it, it takes a really long time to figure out how that funnel progresses. It's tough. So the churn was pretty substantial when it came to smaller businesses who had to look at their budget and decide if they want to spend it on door hangers, you know, or social. Yeah,
interesting. So that's cool. So you sunsetted that business, and then you started Sensay after that?
So I started working for an advertising agency. At the time, they had no digital discipline, so I was brought in to help build that out, and I was with them for 2 years, and we scaled the company from about 12 to 75 people. Built out the digital discipline and worked on some great projects, building all different types of products for clients, mostly in the mobile apps, other types of platforms like e-commerce. And then during that time, met my co-founder.
Okay. Your co-founder now in Sensay.
My current co-founder. Okay. So we used to do these things called Funnovation. So we had so many ideas. One of my hobbies is going to hackathons. And I do it because it keeps my brain really sharp.
It's a geeky chick.
Gives me, it gives me the ability to code when I'm not doing that in my daily life. And I love putting together projects and just seeing something come to life really rapidly. So we would get together and we would just brainstorm ideas. What are the top 3 things you want to work on, or what's the one thing you're thinking about today? And just always thinking about, if I could solve any problem, what project would I work on? What thing might I build? When you write that out and you just keep that at top of mind, eventually something starts sticking. Something keeps coming back and kind of nagging you and saying, you know, the world really needs this.
You need to work on that.
You might want to work on it.
I love that, because a lot of times we get so caught up in working in our business trying to make it work that we forget to do that thing we did in the first place, which is really open our minds and expand and dream about the possibilities. So that's great that you just continue to do that.
Absolutely.
So do you find that actually causes some challenge as far as keeping focused on what you're trying to accomplish? Does it distribute your attention to too many things, or?
Not so much. What I've started doing is I give away ideas for free. So if I have an idea, I'll post it to Twitter. Cool. I'll suggest that somebody does it at a hackathon. I kind of keep a log of them now, and
just like, this is my baby, go fly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because if you really think about something that is useful and whether or not it has potential to be a business, if there are people that are willing to work on it, put it out there and see if somebody picks it up.
I love it. Awesome. I bet you've had some great success just seeing those ideas develop here and there.
I've had an amazing one not too long ago at the Next Web in Amsterdam. One of the ideas that I had passed along to friends and had been pushing on for several months, got all the way there.
Really?
And came back to me in a tweet and they said, here it is. They're pitching it on stage, and we're giving some credit to you for the original idea.
Nod. That's
and
awesome.
it was amazing. It was like Tinder for rescue dogs. And I had been saying, I just wish that these dogs in LA could get homes, and I had previously fostered pit bulls as a way to just help the community with our kind of problem that we have here with too many dogs in these rescue groups or going to the shelters. So that was just an idea that could help society in general, help any community, and it's something that, while I would love to work on it, is going to deter from my business activities if I start to focus.
Outliers, have you ever wondered exactly how to build affiliate websites that generate cash? Affiliate networks are the secret to the success of several huge brands today. These are the websites that give consumers information about products or services with links to the providers, then gain a commission from the resulting sales. Now there are professional affiliate marketers who are killing it and providing huge value to consumers and to brands. Two of our favorite expert affiliate marketers are the globe-trotting husband and wife team, Jill and Josh Stanton, over at Screw the 9 to 5. If you would like to learn how this successful power couple has built a location-free lifestyle through building affiliate websites, go to outliermagazine.co and click on resources there at the top. There you'll find out how to learn directly from Jill and Josh at the Outlier discount and start generating cash to give you the lifestyle freedom you desire, or just supplement the revenue that you're already making online. So go to outliermagazine.co and click on resources to generate more cash for your business today.
Yeah.
So you are big into community. You work a lot. Well, first of all, you work in this co-working space, which in and of itself is very communal and collaborative, and you have a lot of great events here. That's great. And then I know you're speaking at a conference coming up here. You're very active in the startup LA community. Do you find that really helps your business? Why do you do that? Is it just your passion?
It's definitely my passion. I've always wanted to encourage people to get into technology, specifically women. What I've found is that it's a little bit scary for girls and women to get into hackathons or these things that I think are really fun. Yeah. And I've always had a great time, and I've always just wondered why the ratio is so skewed. Because I know there are a lot of really smart, really talented women, and so that was the first start, was teaching junior high school girls how to code. Kind of got me inspired, and then LA in general. I think our community has so much potential. We have almost 10 million people, so by numbers alone, we should have a pretty great percentage of amazing talent, and I've discovered that myself when working with people. Even though I had a distributed team, my team was still in LA. So LA is such a big community that you could be, in Santa Monica or downtown or Pasadena or even Long Beach, and you have miles and miles between you, but you're also kind of part of that same community.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I can tell that that's your passion, but it also expands your own business. Tell me just a little bit more about Sensay itself.
So Sensay is also something that I think is community driven. Okay. So we are part of the sharing economy, and because we're a peer-to-peer marketplace, we are similar to, let's say, something like Airbnb lets you rent out the place that you live, or Uber lets you drive people around and share your car. So Sensay lets you monetize your most valuable asset, which is your mind.
Okay. How? Tell me about that. I'm trying to get my brain around this.
Yeah. So the problem that we've discovered is information discovery is broken. Searching sucks, and social media is noisy. Even though that was the previous business that I had and the company I was working on, I kept identifying this problem over and over. People have really serious needs, and they're just not getting back the right solutions for them. So the way that we're solving this is through personalized, very fast, on-demand information. Okay. We connect people together, and we let someone who needs something be helped by someone who knows something.
It's that general? I mean, it could be anything. So I download this app, and is it a mobile, or is it a website too, or just the app?
Just apps for
Okay.
now.
So you download the app, and you either post a need, or you can go look at someone's need and try and fill it.
So we're kind of like a human routing engine. That's
Okay.
right. In that when you post a need, it's kind of like text messaging a friend,
Okay.
only instead of your friend, it's potentially the whole world.
Okay.
We are a routing engine so that we find the right person who can help,
Okay.
and we connect them with you directly.
So we have a profile or something on there that if something applies to us, we can pop up as someone that can help.
We have some special sauce in that we check in what you know. So we really are the world's first knowledge index.
Oh, interesting. This could be big.
We hope so. We think so.
At what stage are you? How old is Sensay, and at what phase are you?
Sensay is early stage,
Okay.
so we will be launching our private beta in the summer, around the end of summer.
Okay.
We're currently with our hardest test audience right now, which is friends and family.
Okay.
And then the public is welcome to join the beta that will roll out shortly after in the fall.
Okay, great. So what about funding? So are you bootstrapping?
We are currently fundraising, so
Okay.
that was one of the valuable lessons I learned. Is it's really important to have valuable investors who not only add funding to the mix, but can also provide some strategic, mentorship along with the capital.
So you're seeking investors. Are you doing pitch competitions or crowdfunding or anything like that? Or
Right now, we're looking solely in LA, and we're keeping it fairly private
Okay.
because of the nature of our business, what we're working on. We're staying in somewhat of a stealth mode. So this is actually one of the very first bits of information that's out there.
So you're announcing that on our show right now?
I am.
All right, great. So tell me, like, what's the next phase? You said a team of how many?
So we currently have 5. It's my
Okay.
co-founder and I. We have a few awesome engineers and
Okay.
an incredibly talented UX UI designer.
Okay, great. And so help me understand how you built that. If you're fundraising now, do you, and just tell me if you don't want to answer this, but I'd love to know how it works in the beginning. Are they all in with a long-term vision? Are they employees? How did you work that?
Yeah, so I think equity is really important early on when people are able to be committed without paychecks, which is part of bootstrapping. As well, you can get talent that will take basically when the funding comes in, they'll take the paycheck at that point. So you get people who are just really good, dedicated, loyal, and trustworthy, and you have a mutual understanding that that at some point we're definitely all going to get paid.
Right. I think that's part of the entrepreneurial spirit. Even though your team, they're your team. They're not necessarily the founders of your company, but they have the entrepreneurial spirit and the vision to say, hey, this could be something bigger than just a paycheck. So I think that's motivating to a lot of people.
Absolutely. As well, there are other companies that work with us. So our legal team, as well as our bank, work on deferred costs for early stage startups. So what we're seeing is that many startups are having these opportunities. It's just a matter of knowing that that's available to you.
I would have never thought to even look into that program for legal services. You think that's pretty set, but that's interesting that
Right.
exists.
Right.
How do you pursue something like that?
For us, actually, for me, it was learning from attending events and panels here at
There
Cross
you go.
Campus. So my co-founder and I frequently participate in anything that seems like it would be interesting or beneficial to us in terms of events. And one of the great things about co-working spaces like this is they have office hours. So some of the more influential members of the community come out and dedicate their time to mentoring. Yes,
That's excellent.
and those mentors have helped us along the way. It's been really valuable.
I'm with you. We have that at our co-working space too, and mentors are very, and experts in the community are very willing to help, which is great. They want the local economy to grow, so
Absolutely.
it's a win-win. So you mentioned a little bit about being a woman in in a tech world, or a man's world, I guess we could say a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about that. What advantages do you find to being a woman-owned business? Is your co-founder a woman or a
My
man?
co-founder is a man.
Okay, so you're
it's
balanced.
50-50. Yeah.
So you can kind of, what can I say? You can use the benefits of being a woman to your advantage. What are those? What benefits do you find?
That's a really interesting question. Usually it's posed the opposite way.
Which would be my follow-up question?
Yeah. I think in terms of benefits, so this weekend in San Diego, the Geek Girl conference is happening, and when you go to an event like that, you have something between 60 and 80 workshops that are taught by women, that are attended to by women, and men are welcome as well, but it's a women-focused event. When you see, so change the ratio, flip it around, right? I salute any guy who will attend a conference like that, because then they're really getting in the shoes of the women when we're at the other events. But I think the advantages are just seeing how connected women can be as a support system for each other, and how amazingly willing people are to step up and help. So having really great women mentors, I think, is very important, and so that's an advantage. Just knowing that women are there to help, not just because you're women, but because they're happy to see somebody succeeding in the field that was also challenging for them.
Good point. So the drawbacks of being a woman in this tech world. Anything? Have you felt anything? Not necessarily negative, but any drawbacks or challenges to that?
So I think that I may be a little bit naive when it comes to having problems as a woman in tech, and I say that because I started really early on. So to me, it wasn't a weird thing to be a coder as a teenager, and if anything, I was trying to get my friends who were out doing other activities or skateboarding or whatever it was, at the mall, trying to get them interested. I never really had an issue jumping into doing things like hackathons. When I first heard about them, I was so excited, and I really didn't look at my teammates as all being guys. I just looked at them as all being really interested in getting this thing done this weekend.
Cool.
So I think if you take away that part of it, and just the intimidation isn't there as much, I haven't really had too many problems. I did think it was interesting at CES when you can count probably 1 to 100, women to men, but there's still really no intimidation there. You just kind of go and you get through it, and you hope that if you post photos to your social channels, that other women will be encouraged to go.
Great. I love that. You're brave. Like you said, it wasn't a problem for you at all. But I think as entrepreneurs, as we find ways to actually stick out, that's a benefit. It's not a situation where it's good to just go with the flow and be part of the crowd. We have to stick out in some way. And so in a lot of ways, like you, I actually find it an advantage just because you have the ability to be different, to stick out, to voice your ideas and bring a new perspective. So I find it's a positive thing in general.
Absolutely. Actually, I think I just thought of one disadvantage, which has, up until recently, had been a problem. All of the swag t-shirts were always too big.
I hear you. I'm like, I'm changing my t-shirts. I want it to be a baby tee. I don't want a big man shirt. Right?
Yeah, and they're taking care of that now. The swag has gotten incredibly improved, I think, since the rise of startups.
Swag t-shirts need to be women's sizes.
Since the rise of startups and these types of events, I think it's been. I've seen blinky bow ties. That was an amazing one.
That's funny. Cool. Well, tell us how to get in touch with you and how to see your beta product in the fall.
Yeah, sure. So you can sign up for the beta at Sensay.It, which is SENSAY.IT.
Okay.
And then me personally, I'm on Twitter at Crystal Rose, and that's probably my most active channel. And I'm happy to answer any questions related to what's happening on the behind the scenes. We're really looking for people who are excited about joining beta, and we have some signups now that we're really excited to be rolling out.
Great. Well, the invitation is open, so thank you. I really appreciate you being here and just adding a perspective. You have a unique perspective, and I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to you guys coming back to LA.
Absolutely.
Come in October for LA Startup Weeks.
All right, right on. We will. And you come to our conference in October. We'll trade.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.